Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Ethereum is running into key resistance while Bitcoin is getting closer towards a possible breakout, which I'll talk about in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, in case you missed it, just yesterday, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates by 0.25%, in other words, 25 basis points. And obviously, as always, I did send this update out in real time over on my Twitter account. So if you don't follow me over there, make sure you're doing that for real-time updates like this. And the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and in the pinned comment. But anyway, as you would already know, if you watched either of my last two videos, this 25 basis point hike was pretty much already fully priced into the market, which meant as soon as we got the 25 basis point hike, not much really happened in the short term. Of course, we saw a little bit of short-term volatility if you're looking at smaller time frames, but nothing too significant as the expected outcome for a 25 basis point hike at this Fed meeting. And as for future Fed meetings, if you're looking at the futures market right now for the June Fed meeting, which is the next Fed meeting in around the middle of June, almost 100% of the market is pricing in for no rate hike to happen at the next Fed meeting. Once again, for interest rates to stay the same at the next Fed meeting, meaning that this recent 25 basis point hike that we just saw yesterday was likely the final rate hike in this entire rate hike cycle. So at least for now, based on the current market and current information that's available right now, there is a very high chance that that was the final rate hike, and we're about to see a pause in interest rates for perhaps a few months. And then towards the end of this year and entering into early 2024, that is when we're likely going to see rate cuts, meaning interest rates coming back to the downsides, simply based on what the futures market is currently pricing in as the most likely probabilities. But remember, between now and then, things can change, markets can change, information can change. For example, inflation could get a lot better or a lot worse, which can obviously change these probabilities between now and then, but this is just what the probabilities are showing as of right now. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this is on the daily Bitcoin to US dollar chart, and over the last one day, not much has changed once again. We are still technically within a larger bullish trend. We're just obviously taking a pause at the moment from that larger bullish trend into a consolidation range, kind of like what we saw back here. And if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin price oscillators, these are looking relatively neutral, with the RSI pretty much chopping around sideways and the daily Bitcoin MACD showing very low momentum to either direction. And now if you're looking at the 8-hour Bitcoin to US dollar chart, you can see here that right now the price of Bitcoin is forming a symmetrical triangle pattern because we do have higher lows in the price of Bitcoin and lower highs, which means at some point within the coming weeks, obviously we're going to see some sort of major move, either a break above this resistance or a break below this support. And the longer the price of Bitcoin takes to actually make that move, the longer we stay in this pattern, consolidating and squeezing into a tightening range, the more significant or the more volatile that move will likely be once it eventually happens. And right now, this line of support is sitting at around 27.3k, with this line of resistance sitting at around 29.4k. And now if we end up seeing a confirmed breakout above that point of resistance, above 29.4k, then in that case, that would set up a technical price target at just above $33,000 per Bitcoin. But on the flip side, if we see a confirmed break below that level of support, once again at around 27.3k, then in that case, that would set up a technical price target at around 24.1k. And that would actually place that technical price target right into this area of support here on the daily Bitcoin chart, which was previous resistance. But remember, for either of those technical price targets, to come into play, we first need to see a confirmed breakout either above this resistance or below this support. So at least for now, we are still in a consolidation range, looking relatively neutral here on the 8-hour chart and on the daily Bitcoin charts. And then once we actually see a confirmed break below this support or above this resistance, that's when we can become more confident in the next significant move or the next trend here on these 8-hour charts or these daily charts, for example. But anyway, if you're zooming into the shorter term, this is on the 4-hour Bitcoin to US dollar chart. And right now, as I'm recording this video, the price of Bitcoin just got a perfect rejection from this descending line of resistance, once again sitting at around 29.4k. And now it's possible we could find a bit of short-term support at this price range in between around 28.7k to 29k. But if we end up seeing a confirmed break back below 28.7k, then in that case, the next short-term support levels are first of all sitting at this previous low at around 28.1k approximately, and below that level we have a more significant area of support in between 27.5k to 27.8k. And as for these other areas of support to the downside, they have not changed over the last few days, but what we have seen slightly change over the last 1 to 2 days is now an uptrend start to form again here in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI. And so technically speaking, if this stays intact, if we continue to form these higher lows and higher highs, then obviously this is more of a bullish signal than a bearish signal, showing that we do have a bit more strength in terms of the momentum or the trend, which is also seen by these higher lows and higher highs in the imminent short term here. But obviously we still cannot forget about this significant line of resistance. So even though we have slightly more bullish momentum in terms of the short-term trends, obviously we can still see rejections of important resistance like what we've seen of this line of resistance time and time again. So at least for now, we're looking slightly more bullish than bearish, but honestly, we're looking mostly neutral in this large sideways range, in this consolidation range as seen here on the 8-hour chart or the daily chart. And really, we just need to wait to see either a confirmed break above this resistance or below this support in order to become much more bullish or much more bearish on the larger trends. But believe it or not, even in a choppy sideways price range where we're not really seeing a lot of bullish or bearish trends and instead mostly sideways price action in a volatile range, you can still make a lot of profit in crypto during this type of price action. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily ETH to US dollar chart. And right now, as I'm recording this video, the price of ETH is still in this more neutral area, basically a consolidation in the larger bullish trend, kind of like what we saw back here once again. And if you're looking at the daily Ethereum price oscillators, these are still looking relatively neutral. The RSI is basically chopping around sideways, while the MACD is showing very low momentum to either direction. And as for these support and resistance levels, these haven't really changed on the daily time frame over the last few days. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know what these are, then check out my last few videos here on the channel. But anyway, now zooming into the shorter term, this is on the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart. And right now, as I'm recording this video, the price of ETH is getting a small rejection from this area of resistance, which is sitting in between around 1920 to 1950. And as for support, we have this price range in between around 1830 to 1850. And we also have this level of support at pretty much exactly 1.8k based on these two previous lows. And now, despite the short-term rejection from resistance that we're seeing right now, technically speaking, the short-term momentum is slightly more bullish than bearish because we are now seeing higher lows and higher highs in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI alongside the price action here on the smaller time frames. But obviously, we cannot forget about these important areas of resistance where we should still be expecting things like rejections like what we've seen in the past. But if we do end up finally seeing a confirmed breakout back above this area of resistance, then in that case, I would be targeting towards these local highs, which are sitting at roughly around 2.1 1.1k. But on the flip side, if we see a confirmed break back below 1.8k, then I'd be watching this area of support in between around 1.7k to 1730. And now just giving you a quick update here on this head and shoulders pattern here on the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart. Right now, obviously, we're seeing a further bounce from the neckline, which is technically the price trending away from actually activating this pattern. So right now we are moving further towards invalidating this pattern altogether. And in fact, some would argue that we're already at that point where we've basically bounced too far off the neckline to the point where we can't even activate this pattern altogether. But either way, if we do end up coming back down and breaking back below 1.8k, that would be a bearish signal regardless. And in that case, once again, I would at least be looking down towards the low 1.7k area. But as of right now, it isn't currently looking too good for this head and shoulders pattern. And obviously, the further this bounce goes and continues, the more likely that this head and shoulders pattern will just not play out at all. It would simply invalidate altogether. But obviously, right now, it is not active at all anyway, because for this pattern to have actually activated, we would have needed to see a confirmed break below 1.8k. And now, if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways like what we're seeing at the moment, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is trending either bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money in a choppy sideways price range like what we're seeing at the moment. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.